Hey, this is the Prophet with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet? Hey, hey. We talking condos and nice clothes and driving Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. We tried to drive on them house roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to Prophet to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need a cop it, I wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option, let's get it poppin', we chillin' in the trap. I need some crypto, put it in my pocket, by any means I rock. This is the Prophet with Nick Black, it's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain, we here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks, this where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Bum bum. So, hello everybody. We have a couple of guests, Jerry, JVH, I guess it's better just to say your name, Jerry V. Hall. And we have Antonio Desrosiers, but I'm sure he pronounces it the correct way because it's his name. What's going on, gents?
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. And it's Desrosiers, but it's all good.
Desrosiers.
Oh, fancy ass. It's Desrosiers. Let me say hello to everyone. Let's go through our list of friends. We got Todd B, Scorpion, Bow Chain Breakout, Hoop and Tony, Joe Fernandez, ¿Qué onda? Adam, Lori, what up? We also have Crypto Gamer 420. Oh, no, wait. Yes, maybe. V-Rulo, Biotech Breakout, Scorpion, Hidino 3, Hootie. The whole team is here. Okay, so we'll get started. First, let's go around the room. What's going on? Sebastian is also an attack helicopter. Welcome. What's going on with you, Jerry? What's going on in your world?
I am two things. One, I'm preparing for an incredible live stream tomorrow night where I'll have you and Jungle Inc. on to look at pros and cons and start to refine and define a process where we know the opposing view to our own better than the person who's opposing us and the value that will bring to us as an investor. And then in my own little world of excitement and hype, I'm really excited about that Amazon insider leak thing about a possible Amazon community token and the value that could bring Amazon and any token holder who holds the token that the NFT is built on.
What do you think about Antonio? A, what's going on in your world? What are you working on? And B, let's just launch into it. What do you think about the Amazon news? But first, a little bit about you.
So I've been in the crypto space about eight and a half years. I'm learning the mistakes of the people that came before me. So I do deep dives and a lot of research. I believe in the white paper on everything. I tell everybody, as Nick knows, to look at the Bretton Woods Agreement and the Bitcoin white paper to start your journey. You don't do anything else. So with that being said, all I did was just make sure all my assets are in my Ledger Nano X, and I'm just weathering it out.
So what do you think about all of the kind of hubbaloo? What do you say? Hubbaloo? Hullabaloo?
You mean the nothing burger?
There could be some cheddar in that cheese.
Just grate it small.
So here's what I think. I think Amazon going into crypto is obvious. I don't know.
Inevitable.
It's inevitable. Look, just in commerce, it's inevitable. But I think maybe they're slicing it in a different way. I think it's going to take on a more rewardsy kind of angle with Amazon, where they gamify everything. And the one thing that I think Amazon is still kind of getting housed on, the prices on Amazon are still not quite as good as Alibaba. And there is no auction feature or anything. So you don't have that kind of real time. Like when you go to Amazon, do you ever feel like you have to buy something, or do you just abandon your cart? Like I'll shop and then I bail. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep looking. Well, when you go to eBay, you don't keep looking. You tend to like bid or buy. When you go to Alibaba, stuff's so cheap, you just buy it. The only thing you care about there is, A, am I going to get it? Is it going to have Lambda all over it when I get it? You know? And how long is it going to take for shipping? But the prices are really good. So I think Amazon needs to gamify Amazon. Plus, I also think they believe they're going to get broken apart. And that may be part of this too.
You know what the funny thing is Amazon looked at the Walmart blueprint, destroying mom and pops, because it started with one item and then became a world crusher. It took the Walmart blueprint and just destroyed worlds, and people tend to forget that. So, yeah.
So, okay, Jerry, let's imagine, and we're gonna go through prices and all that kind of normal stuff that we do. But as long as we're on this Amazon topic, I'm going to pose a question. Then we're going to go ahead and run our non-commercial bumper. And then when we come back, I want to know what you think a post broken up Amazon looks like. And if digital assets or some crypto melange could be the web that keeps them together, even though technically they are not together. Brainbuster. Okay. Oh, damn. Antonio, you're on twice with two different cameras.
Hey, how about that? So I got the desktop up.
Okay, but you've got to mute one of them. There we go.
Oh, well, welcome.
Welcome back.
Hey,
You fancy?
Welcome back.
Fancy as hell. So let's talk about that, Jerry. I'm going to throw that one to you. So let's imagine a post. Elizabeth Warren gets her way.
All right. Well. Okay, I get it. So what I recall from my lifetime, this is back in the 70s, right? We had in America an absolute Goliath of a monopoly. It was called Ma Bell. And they were basically the entire communication network for the entire country. One company had a stranglehold on that. And what I remember was that through the antitrust monopoly battle in the Senate and the Congress, that they were forced to break up into regions. Now, if that same type of thing happens to Amazon and they are busted up into parts like the retail business, AWS, maybe Prime because it becomes a separate entity from the Goliath. Something like in a community incentive type token, we'll call it, that allows and transfers value to the user base across all the various elements of what you could probably call the Amazon family, even though they might be technically standalone companies. It's a way of dispersing not only value but information. See, one of the things these big, huge companies that have monster user bases constantly have to do, and Nick, I'm sure you're well of this as well as Antonio, is they have to constantly go back into the marketplace and buy back the eyeballs of their users. Television ads, internet advertising, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, community tokens not only allow a like value, like you would think airline miles or points back or cash back on your cards, those type of programs, but the NFT type style of community token would also convey information. And if you could tell the folks that are holding your token, maybe they're you can see their primary uses in the retail Amazon bookstore type model. They're purchasing from their, what do you call it? Would you call it your cart? Well, what if AWS comes out with something designed to individual users? Now they just do the NFT. They do not need to have billion-dollar marketing campaigns to tell the world we open this new service, then go right to their user base through information on the NFTs, right? Like just like on your Blockfolio, you can buy crypto on it, but you also get all kinds of news about your crypto on it. This whole world of data and value is exploding, and what we will actually end up with is anybody's guess, but I'm seeing a direction. And so that's what got me excited about that whole insider news thing about Amazon. Did I answer your question, Nick, about what happens if it gets broken up?
Indeed, you did. Now,
okay.
I kind of like your idea, but I think it goes a little different. What I think they do is, I think they have tokens similar to what China is going to probably end up doing, and what any central bank that has a CBDC does, is they'll use it to inspire pockets of growth in flailing areas. So think of Amazon as a central bank. Think of their sphere of governance as all of the different sectors that you can purchase items. So think of them as their own little world.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you have products that aren't getting enough love, they're not getting enough attention, or products that Amazon gets a bigger kickback on.
Right, higher margins.
And so then they send out coupon tokens that time expire. Hey, here's $1,000 token to go buy some luxury watch stuff if you, among these, 100 badass watches. But you have until Friday at midnight. And then they're gone. Your discounts disappeared. Act now. And so you could see tiny retail monetary policy. I don't know. What say you?
So
go ahead, Antonio.
Go ahead, Antonio.
So with that being said, them being like the central bank, I think they would use the blockchain to have the perfect inventory on everything that they have in their inventory on the blockchain, on the digital ledger. And they would diverse, like Nick said, that the movie studio, they would branch that off because that's a money-making entity in and of itself. And then the little pieces will start to grow back and become trillion-dollar companies by themselves. Because when the baby bells broke up, the baby bells that broke themselves up became like the Verizons and the SBCs and the other things from the Big Mom Bell. So even when you break it up, they'll become back stronger as little entities.
So let me ask you guys this, if you have, because listen, anybody with these tokens has a degree of, there's fiscal policy embedded, and then there's monetary policy. And so we could, if for those people that, for you home gamers that are like, I always hear this and I don't know what the difference is. If you're thinking fiscal, simply think taxing, spending. That's it. Those are like what Congress and senators and things like that. That's what they would do. That's what politicians do. They deal with fiscal policy. Monetary policy is what banks do, or what central banks, or what anybody that creates a currency. And tokenomics is kind of both. Tokenomics is a blanket term that melts in monetary policy and fiscal policy. And you could say, well, there's not really taxation and spending in crypto. Well, there could be, though. And there is, in a sense, by the way the tokens flow, either in and out of exchanges, in and out of the platform, if it's embedded in the platform, or if a utility token serves some function, and you could create some token fiscal policy against the token inside a network to do certain things. And that's where I think the Amazon, it could end up looking a lot like Amazon is a retail central bank inside its own little world, which would probably scare the S right out of the Elizabeth Warrens of the world. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting food for thought. One thing I was going to ask, Antonio, what's going on in your world? What are you looking at crypto-wise? Before we get into this, I want to hear what you and Jerry are looking at. What tokens are you guys looking at? And then we're going to do some price gawking. What are you guys looking at?
I'm liking the long term of Cardano. So I got some bags of Cardano, and I'm just waiting for them to play their things out. I'm looking at the MetaBlock token, where eventually people are going to be able to own their medical history on the blockchain. So things going in that avenue.
MetaBlock, what's that token associated with? Is there a token yet?
There is a token. It's called MetaBlock.
But what is the symbol? Is it or is it just still like 400 letters?
No, hold on. It's I want to say it's MEDI, but MED.
MED. So you're looking at ADA. Antonio is looking at ADA and MED.
Yeah.
Okay. That way people can take a look if they want to see what's going on with Antonio. All right. Big Jer, what are you looking at?
I'm loving the performance recently of my quant holdings. The ticker symbol is QNT. It is a play on interoperability. And I'm a big fan of interoperability. It's like, if you can say it eloquently enough, it's profitable.
Do you have another coin that you're kind of looking at in your back pocket right now?
Yeah, I got 25 of them. It's called my portfolio, and I look at it every friggin' day.
But do you have any favorite children? The ones you won't murder? The ones you won't drown in the river?
Absolutely. Cardano. And I've recently taken advantage. Now, this is courtesy of a collaboration with Nick Black. So, as everybody knows who follows me knows, I'm very interested in the mechanics of token acquisition through delegation, right? Whether it be yield of the existing token that I got, or the ability to direct some of this token to this delegating pool to get some of this different token back in return. And I'm doing that with a project that'll be launched on the Cardano blockchain called MELD. Just think decentralized Nexo. And I'm really fascinated about the mechanics of MELD, what they're trying to do. And the fact that I was able to choose a staking pool to delegate my ADA to that will generate me 50% of the proceeds will come back to me in MELD token, and 50% will be ADA tokens. And they have pools where you can do 100%, like you direct, create a new wallet in your Daedalus and direct it towards one of their pools and get 100% MELD. And it's on a ratio of 100 ADA to 6.5 MELD. So if you stake 100 ADA, every epoch you'll get 6.5 MELD.
But then do they take your Cardano rewards as a trade?
Oh yeah, you don't get no Cardano. Yeah, it's how they're funding their company.
Okay, so every epoch, if you gave them, let's say, 1,000,
you directed,
you'd get 65. And then what is the MELD token looking at right now? I mean, what is it? Is it even priced? Is there a price?
Oh yeah. I've got internal predictions here in Costa Rica, the community here in my neighborhood. We talk about this all the time. We're looking at least a potential of $1,000. So it's going to be anywhere from 0.0008 to $1,000. That's the tight range it's going to be trading in.
So it's going to be from nothing to everything.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
You'll probably be able to buy Costa Rica.
I was thinking about at least one province.
Should you buy Goldman Sachs, or do you think the FTX Sam Fried Chicken Bankman Lloyd Webber III, who's been in crypto 17 seconds, is going to buy it?
Well, here's the thing. This is the quandary. Why would somebody who understands the digital asset space ever go after a United States dollar denominated cash flow revenue generating business? They're opposing. It makes no sense. It's like Jed McCaleb's going to help buy MoneyGram. What? It's like saying Henry Ford, when he started Ford Motors, is going to go out and buy one of the world's largest horse and buggy companies. What?
It's like what and why?
Idiot. No, he's not. And no, they're not.
Yeah. Bankman Fried Chicken. I think I get this irksome feeling that this guy built a whole company on money laundering. And because look, I'm not going to say nobody. We don't make absolute statements. Very few people, and I know a lot of people in crypto, have ever messed with FUTX exchange.
I never heard of it before 2 months
no
ago.
No one's heard about it. And okay.
Except when the NBA
right.
stadium got
They're doing naming rights. They're doing deals for stickers on race cars. They're doing deals. They just bought Blockfolio and changed it to FU Folio or something like that. And you say, this is weird that a company that the other companies, think about some of the other companies that bought race cars, like Enron. Remember that male growth pill Insight that was a total scam? There was nothing. Oh, what about the other car company that the guy just got indicted either last night or this morning? Oh, right, Nikola. That was an obvious effing scam from the very beginning. Anybody who didn't see this as a scam, there's Tesla. What was Tesla's first name? Nikola. Yeah, that's our company. What do you do? Same thing, electric cars. How many do you have? Lots of them. They're all over the place. Oh, really? What's your revenue? 26,000. Where'd it come from? We put solar panels on the COO's house. But do you sell solar panels? No. What? Then I'm confused. This sounds a lot like that. This guy, I don't know why. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I mean, he admitted he's been in the crypto space 3 years. So I'm not a big fan of Sleazy CZ, right? But he's not a dummy. CZ is a criminal genius, right? So let me not confuse my ire that I don't like CZ because he's a scumbag and a criminal and a thief with the fact that I think he's dumb. He is not dumb. CZ is not dumb. Brian Armstrong is not dumb. These are incredibly intelligent dudes.
And wealthy.
Sam Fried Chicken Bankman, I don't get that feeling when I listen to him talk. I don't when I read his tweets, I go, it's like a guy who just kind of found crypto recently and he's trying to like be one of the cool kids. He shows up, there's like 6 kids talking, and he's like, yeah, sports. What? You missed the conversation, bro. And so I just get that feeling that this guy's something very sketchy about him, and I can't put my finger on it, but my sketch radar is on full alert. And so I also, from pretty good information, I have it that FTX is being investigated by the feds.
Let's hope so.
It's almost like a badge of honor for the feds to come look at these guys. It's like right the passage.
So let's do this. Let's go look at some crypto tokes, and let's see what's going on. Crypto 420 said when Sushi Swap got rug pulled from the beginning, Chef Nomi, and then gave up control of Sushi to Sam Bankman-Fried. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? This dude's a huckster, man. Anyway, okay, enough about Fried Chicken Bankman. Okay, so let's go to let's see what's going on in the Bitcoin. We got the Bitcoin at 39,918. Let's call it 40. Green candles, green sticks all the way across. Ethereum.
Before you move on to Ethereum, we just need to take a second and acknowledge that it did jump to 40, but didn't immediately go back down to 35. This was not some.
You know what that means?
Well,
LeBron James.
That's right.
So my hat's off to Bitcoin for holding a new higher low over the last month.
What do you think, Bitcoin? And we don't have to talk about price action so much. Is just what's your gut feeling, Antonio? What's Bitcoin doing right now? Is it waiting to break out? Is it waiting to break down, or are we still just siphoning out idiot investors, the last ones that have to start paying rent again at some point in the future?
It is shaking out the weak hands, definitely. And it's getting better price points for more institutional money to come in. And I strictly believe that Bitcoin is like an arrow. It has to come back to go further forward. So the higher highs and the lower lows, yeah. End of the year, I say about 120, somewhere in that racket.
That's interesting. Jerry, what do you think Bitcoin over the next 6 months? What do you, we don't do price predictions because price predictions it's like rolling dice and then rolling dice for the dice. But if someone put a pistol to your head and said, Jerry, I need a number.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know. What I will tell you is, and it's become very clear, Bitcoin is no longer fragile, right? Bitcoin is anti-fragile. It has taken everything the world has thrown at it and continues to work and move forward. Now, it's bumpy and righty. So you could say 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and in 3 months, which part of that will we be in a 3 steps forward? I don't know. Will we be in a 2 steps back? I don't know. But over time is how I have to look at this. I cannot look at this in little chunks because it's just too unpredictable. But over the long term, I think all of us that have built a foundation in our portfolios on Bitcoin will be glad that we did.
So let me ask you guys then, just give me a basic high and a low, Jerry. High and a low of Bitcoin this year.
High 150, low 29.
Okay. Antonio.
High 120, low. Hard to say. I can't say a low because theoretically it can go down to 0. Who knows? And if it does, the technology is worth a price, and that price somebody's going to pay for it. So
I won't let it go to 0. I won't let it go to 0. I don't know about you guys.
But, you remember, Nick, a little while ago, we were talking and I sent you a thing. I said, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to go down to 20 something thousand, 29, 30,000. And it was at 60 something. You're like, there's no way. So the bottoms, we don't know what the bottoms are. We can only kind of project where it's going for the top.
So I think we have the inflation monster, even though that's more of a narrative. It's less of a reality and more of a narrative. And it's easy for people to digest. So great, inflation. Although that's not really what we're seeing, because then you saw the GDP numbers this morning, and they were like 30% below where they were supposed to be. Meaning, I guess that kind of supports a bunch of different narratives. You can take that information and point it in any direction you want. You can say, oh, the economy's not growing as fast. Therefore, any price appreciation is definitely inflation. And then you have Powell saying inflation's running a little hotter than we thought. But when you look at across a basket of assets, like CPI-wise, you're not really seeing it. You're seeing it in a couple of markets that have some, logistics problems, some log jams. There's a little bit of rage buying and stuff like that. But there's not that widespread, continuous, creeping inflation that's either the sign of creating too many currency units into society. I'm not arguing that they're not creating the units. I'm arguing that they're just not getting out yet. They're gummed up in investments and things like that. And that's why you see there's certain pockets of housing and things like that are getting ridiculously high. And you say, why? Like, who's buying? No, banks are buying, and they're buying with money that they should be using to extend credit out into society. So if they quit lending and they start buying as an investment strategy because it pays off better than lending, well, then you do get asset bubbles and things like that. So then you're kind of factoring all these forces in. And so I reduce all that to Bitcoin and I say, okay, I can't use any of those independent pieces, not CPI, not GDP, nothing, not what Powell says or doesn't say. I can't use any of this information to look at Bitcoin. But here's what I can use. I know that there's a lot of bad behavior. And I believe Bitcoin is a proxy for bad behavior. The more bad behavior, the higher Bitcoin goes. We've had bad behavior since 2008, and look where we are now, since Fireman Ben. So I think probably range. I think it could get down to 15, 20,000 if you had mass chaos. But I also don't think that we're at a point now. These governments, when they started cutting checks and things like that, it was the beginning of a permanent system. Whether you call it UBS or UBI or continued stimulus or unemployment, welfare, stipend, whatever you want to call it, this is not stopping anytime soon because this is the new normal. Everybody's happy. I'll give you some fake money or free money, whatever you want to call it, and you go, here's for all your kids. And matter of fact, you know what? Quit paying. Why should you pay rent? Why should someone pay rent? Here, taken care of. Cool. And I'm going to give you an extra, $700 a week. Just chill, bro. You don't need to go to work or do anything like that. Just focus on the crypto markets and the stock market. You just stay there. That's where you need to be, on the couch, focus on the crypto markets. So I don't think anybody would argue there's not bad behavior. I just think that we're all willing to tolerate it. No one's throwing their arms up like there's too much stimulus, even though they don't realize 9 out of every 10 stimulus dollars goes right back to like a handful of small companies or like a BlackRock that buys their own garbage, which I don't even know how they got away with that, but whatever. But again, I reduce all that to really bad behavior. And since there's plenty of really bad behavior, I think we could see 150K Bitcoin this year. So my range is 15 to 150, which probably is no solace for anybody other than people that are in the Bitcoin options market, because that keeps those premiums nice and fat.
So here's the thing. When we say 1 to 150, if we have another one of those cascading forced liquidations from people playing bad behavior and over leveraging themselves, then we go back to why Bitcoin dropped so precipitously, right?
Well, let me just throw in, did you see that both Binance and Sam Fried Chicken and I think it was also Bybit, they reduced the leverage on Bitcoin down to 20x. I mean, only 20x from 100, and on Binance 125x leverage. So that leverage is gone. They've reduced that. Now, in Binance's case, I think they saw what just happened from May going down, and they're a little bit worried. First, let me caveat this. These exchanges use cascading liquidations to steal your Bitcoin. I've seen it in real time. If you're in futures, you end up and look on your account and it's been liquidated. There's no recourse, first of all. But when you get liquidated and you look and you go, wait a minute, the price never got that low. Like, sorry, bro, liquidated. So who keeps the premium? Exchange. Who keeps your Bitcoin? The exchange. Who keeps the fees? Exchange. And unregulated should be in the background. So there's a lot of sketch behavior. And in these liquidations, these exchanges make a crap box full of money. And I've seen them. I mean, I've watched it happen on Deribit, which is why I no longer recommend that exchange. They will absolutely steal from you and lie right to your face. And you can show them the charts. You can show them the minute chart and everything. It doesn't matter. They will say, sorry. And that's it. And there is no one to appeal to. What are you going to go complain to your state legislature? They don't like crypto anyway. And then you're just giving them more fodder. So again, more bad behavior. There's bad behavior everywhere you look, especially right here in the crypto space. But again, bad behavior is good for Bitcoin. But since they reduced, I don't know if we'll have the same kinds of leverage. I guess I'm worried. What do you think, Jerry? They reduced the leverage from 125 and sometimes 100x down to 20x. Good?
I don't think it's good or bad. It doesn't. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Here's what I'll tell you. My experience, and I lived on the pro poker circuit for 3 years. So I was eyeball deep in the gambling mentality, right? Most people, gambler or not, mucho risk taker or not, they all are very familiar with recency bias. And when you have major unwinds like we saw 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, where a tremendous amount of leverage, over leverage, high leverage, participants were liquidated, people have a tendency to try to recover before they go get crazy again. And so I think these things are cyclical, right? These behavioral patterns will be cyclical, not static. We cannot apply them to every new cycle. So let's say we designed a cycle index that shows these monstrous liquidation points that we've had in the history of our digital asset space, right? I bet bet there's some rhyme and reason to them because it's generally the same players performing the same behaviors. So with that being said, behavioral economics and behavioral analysis would tell me that the next is going to have a period in time between it. And you are going to see a very slow, gradual build of leverage, not a massive rush into leverage, because so many of the people that were levered before got their asses handed to them. And that pool of people willing to risk it all is actually a very small percentage to the overall cohort. Make sense?
Antonio, let me ask you. So they reduced the leverage from 100, 125x down to 20x. Do you think people go, oh, I can't get as much leverage, so does that actually increase risky behavior because the perception that it's safer, even though there's certainly nothing safe about 20x leverage?
So the risk aversion or lack thereof is, I kind of agree with Jerry. It's not going to really affect it. They're going to risk it. They're going to risk it at 1,000 times leverage, 120. It doesn't make a difference. Whatever it is, they're going to push the envelope. So risk takers are going to take risks. So you go from 100 to 20, they're still going to risk it. And they're going to over leverage if they did it before.
Now, you guys may know this, but it had been, and I guess there's probably more recent studies, but the higher the leverage, the smaller the aggregate bet, right? So at 100x or 125x leverage, your bets are very tiny because they get liquidated so quick. They either pay off or they're gone in a few seconds, sometimes minutes, right? Whereas
in there, not the new people that's coming in though, right?
Well, but if you reduce it to 20x, I think people take bigger, the per dollar risk is greater because you go, oh, now I got to be 5 times more successful. And if I got to be 5 times more successful, I got to risk 5 times the money. So my guess is, and it's just a random guess, is that people are going to actually, this is going to increase the per bet sum in among that group of degenerates.
Now, we're not talking about the people that's going to come in with money to burn and just like, oh, let me just throw it to the wind, right?
But yeah, because I don't think those people, I say those people, I don't think the low IQ couch commandos that come in with the check, I don't think that they're probably trading at least at first with leverage. Now, if they spend 25 minutes on Clubhouse, they'll be coerced to go join some dumb group where they try to pitch Bitcoin futures as a way to get rich. Now, you can make $1 million now. You're going to wait till later or do it now. My course is $1,200. What a mess. Okay, let's go back to prices. Let's take a look. Okay, so what else is going on? Oh, and real quick, that's a good question. I'm going to actually pose that to the panel. Crypto 420 asked if people are getting kicked out of their houses, what does that look like for the economy? Bam, bam, and bam. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, it depends on what the resources of those people are, right? So I think as an overall statement, I would say you're going to see an increase of multiple family homes where either children move back in with their parents or elderly folks move in with their adult children. You'll see a consolidation of families within housing. That's one piece of the puzzle. And the other piece of the puzzle is what it does to the existing rental market, right? Depending upon regulations and laws in the areas pertaining to what you can ask a potential tenant or not on an application, I think that'll drive a lot of stuff. If people can get into a new place with a clean start, I think there'll be a lot of that, depending upon obviously price laddering and whatever. So I think there'll be a lot of shuffling, or what you would call musical chairs. Yeah. You muted, Nick.
You muted.
My guess is, and I'm trying to type this little banner. I don't think they're kicking anyone out of any house at any time. I think I think they will continue to extend forbearance. I had to let go of the silly assumption that somebody in either the Senate or Congress or some governor or somebody in Biden's administration or in any administration would say enough is enough. That somebody does not exist.
Well, then wouldn't that, Nick, beg the question of the impairment on investment property or rental property? And I mean, what kind of investment is rental property going forward if that is the quote unquote status quo?
Well, if they repatriate, so if they make landlords whole, which they haven't done yet, but they say they're going to. So they're already kicking around the idea of pushing out across the entire United States, pushing it out to the end of December of this year. So there's another 6 months that landlords don't get paid. And so if right now it looks awful, I would never buy a piece of property, a rental property now is like, for sure you're going to lose. You're going to have, I've heard, so the condo I just got in, the people that own it came by and they were hanging out and they were telling me they have people that will pay their down payment, like their first payment, their first month. They'll come in, set up shop, and then tell them we're not paying anymore. Just straight up, we're done paying, by the way.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
And there's nothing you can do. Not only that, the courts are so backed up that even if they got to the point where they could do some kind of eviction, so let's say that this thing gets pushed out again till December, and in January, okay, you can evict, which they'll never allow. But let's say that you could as a landlord. That process is 90 days once it's in the court system. Well, we've had 17, 18, 19 months of court backlogs. So it's going to take probably, who knows, 6 to 9 months just to get a court date so that then they can fight it. The quickest the eviction is 90 days. And I'm talking about California. I don't know what it is in other states. So now you're at 9 months plus 3 months. You're at a year. They're still not paying, by the way. And as a landlord, you're not getting paid back unless, again, they create some government program.
Yet the Bitcoin portfolio continues to grow. These people sit in, they go, well, you know what? I'm not going to pay rent, but I'll buy some of that Bitcoin.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, the banks aren't trying to foreclose on the people that own the properties or the businesses. So what they're doing is they're putting the notes on the back end. So instead of 30 years, you're getting 40 years because they don't want to pick those properties back up.
Which, look, you don't mind. Well, yeah, banks don't want to, which is weird because there's two things. Banks are talking out of one side of their mouth and acting. And remember, banks are two parts. There's the investment part of a bank, which is buying housing, and then there's the commercial part of the bank, which extends home loans, free flowing credit and things like that. That's where cash is created. Sometimes people think a bank is one big place, and that's not really true. The investment side of the bank is completely different, separate and segregated from the commercial banking part of the bank. So there's two different, and a lot of times nobody on one side is under the control or influence of anybody on the other side. So where they're not even talking up until you get to the CEO, and then he's just having people report to him. So on the one side, the commercial side of the bank, you're right. They don't want to take on these properties because they have to service these properties. And that's just a glut of new homes to go in the pool of homes that they're already trying to fix the price because they're sitting on a bunch of zombie mortgages already. But on the investment side of the bank, things look different because they're saying, why should if we're getting bank reserve transfers and we know that's not real money, but it's an asset swap that could free us up because our balance sheet looks good, it could free us up to go into the market and buy up property, commercial and otherwise. So the investment side goes, that doesn't look that bad. We should go buy property.
With the aggregate average price per acre across the United States increasing at a 15% clip, that looks really healthy on an investment balance sheet, right? X amount of property worth X amount, bang. With valuations increasing to bang. Now let's not talk about any, cash flows on those businesses. Let's just talk about the price of the real estate.
I heard, and this is just a side note, I heard that the U.S. government, in an attempt to extend the wealth divide is going to destroy all the bills in between 1 and 100. So there'll only be $1 bills and $100 bills, just so they can go ahead and broaden that wealth divide. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Okay. Let's go back to prices just for a quick second, and then we're going to get into some cognitive bias. Other than the Bitcoin performing quite well and a few other assets performing quite well, are there any outliers? We talked about, Jerry, you like Quant, you liked ADA, you liked Meld. Antonio, you liked Metablock, and you liked ADA. Is there any kind of outlier on the radar that you're looking at that's not directly obvious?
Directly obvious.
For instance,
yes, XDC. It's a payments token. XFAN is the company.
Let's take a look at it.
With the work they're doing with R3 and several of the other, well, for lack of a better term, we'll call them G7 central banks. That looks interesting. That has some potentiality.
Livecoin doesn't like that one.
XDC?
They don't like it.
Livecoin loves XDC.
I don't see it.
Type in, try this. X.
Yeah.
D.
Yeah.
C.
Got it.
Xerox David Charlie.
XFAN coin?
Yes.
XinFin?
Yes.
It's at 8 cents.
I bought it at 0.004.
Ooh.
But it's a payments token. It's one of them super fast, huge supply, but also a ton in circulating already. Just super fast. It's like what XRP was before all the encumbered, Ripple / lawsuits / promises /
hopes and dreams /
No, it's quite an elegant little piece of technology.
What are you looking at, Antonio, that maybe not on the radar?
I'm looking it up right now. The hacking token, HA.
HA what?
HAI.
Okay.
Ooh, I've never heard of the hacking token. This is gonna be fun.
You know what? I think I played hacking way back in the Clubhouse days.
Where's the circulating supply? That I get the 3 million tokens. How much is in circulation?
I don't think we know that. The liquidity is not great.
The concept behind this is it's the equivalent of a digital die pack. So somebody robbed the bank, they put the digital die, they put the die in there, and the police will be able to do that. This is like that. So if the exchanges were to put this token on their exchange, any ill-gotten wallets would be
like a watermark.
Exactly.
It's a watermark for your crypto.
Correct. And the CEO came on Clubhouse in February of this year.
Oh, that's interesting.
He came on, it was like 3 cents, 4 cents. By the time he got off, it was like 10, 11 cents, and it peaked at 32 cents. So
30 people moved the market. I love it. I got it. Where can I find this at, Antonio?
So hacking, let's see. It's on Gate.
Oh,
we love us some Gate.
I think I'll throw $100 at that thing.
Oh, it's interesting. There's no asks, but it technically is on BitTrue. So it's on Gate, BitTrue, Ocean. Yeah, those are the main markets.
So if all the exchanges were to embrace that, then it would definitely do some movement, because the concept behind it sounds pretty good.
Well, is part of the token usage that if you were an exchange and you were going to put your die pack in these wallets, you'd have to actually use those tokens to do that?
Yes.
Causing a real demand. Okay.
And then you can download the app on the phone, and it gives you a way to test your password, and you can put the hacking token on there, encrypt it.
And the only thing you have to be careful for is the acetone token that washes the die pack off the wallets. And that, I guess that'd be a way to hedge that bet, right? You also if you get some of this, you got to get some of the acetone token.
Fence token, the guy that will take those tokens and then tumble and clean those tokens for you. I'll tell you what I'm looking at. I am still looking at Render. It's just, to me, one of the more exciting projects because I live in the Hollywood town and it makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, AGIX, Fetch, like all the usual suspects, but Render is very interesting to me. The idea of distributing the workload of rendering, high density video content. It just seems like it has a very clear use case and a tiny market cap. And I think that this one's probably got an easy, easy. It's got a 10x in it in my gut. Let's switch gears.
What time frame? Because everything has a 10x. So
I think we need to see, for Render to really run, we probably need a lot of enthusiasm back in the market. So kind of like that fall to January, February kind of time periods. Yeah. So let's say October to February.
So if you compare and contrast Render's 10x to Bitcoin, you think Render's going to 10x before Bitcoin 10x?
Yeah.
Will it 10x before Cardano 10x's?
Probably not. And the reason I say that is because there's going to be a lot of ramp up. I will actually let you guys in on something I was considering. I'm doing the game theory right now.
Do tell.
Of taking a not insignificant sum of Bitcoin and putting it into Cardano just as to go back to Bitcoin after the fact, to mine Bitcoin with Cardano rolling into the release of smart contracts. So when they finish off Alonzo.
End of August, September, mid-September?
I think second week of September probably is the furthest out. So 60, 65 days. Because if I'm looking at Bitcoin at 40 and I'm looking at Cardano at where are we? $1.28, $1.29? Let's see. $1.28. And you think that when smart contracts roll out, we're not going to at least see the 240 we saw a month and a half ago off of nothing?
Easily.
So I think we easily see it. So just on whimsy, just on hype and whimsy, I think we see it. So if we get that 240, 250 on some exchanges that we saw,
arbitrage it.
There's your 100%. And we'd have to see Bitcoin. So Cardano gets back to its all-time high. We'd have to see Bitcoin at $80,000 to be equal.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so the staking is better. So for a lot of reasons, to me, it looks like a pretty solid trade. So that's what I'm looking at right now, is taking, a chunk of Bitcoin that's just sitting there, on a variety of exchanges, grabbing a little bit of yield and going, I'm going to grab a little bit more yield. And so converting it to Cardano, parking it on Daedalus, grabbing some yield as I wait. And yeah, so that's the trade that I'm looking at. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it yet. I'm going to watch this weekend. If I see Bitcoin poke over 40, 42, 43, I'm pulling the trigger. Anywhere over, say, 42K, I'm going from Bitcoin. Just me. This is not advice. Don't do it. I'm not telling anyone to do it. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. And I'm going to mine some of that velocity. And then as we get to fever pitch of enthusiasm and excitement over smart contracts, I'll probably take just the portion that came from Bitcoin and I'll push it back into Bitcoin, because the whole point was just to mine more Bitcoin. I'm not going to touch my Cardano bag, because it's a wonderful bag. It's a beautiful bag. It's the best bag.
Is it still in Adam's staking pool? Texans?
Yeah, I have some over there. I think I have 3 different pools because I have 3 wallets and I try to just get the aggregate. So when it pays out bigger than all the others. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have a third over there, a third in 2 other exchanges. So it's kind of very even Steven.
I highly recommend his pool to people coming in. Definitely.
Oh yeah, when you get paid fat.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go into some cognitive BS. So let me stop that screen share. Let me share we are going to talk a little bit for a few minutes about the spotlight effect. And this is, and we all do it, God. When I was reading this morning, I was like, dang it, this is a good one. And I do it all the time. Oh, what was that pool again? Texan Steaks. Yes?
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
Let me write that for you. Texan _ yeah. Yay, Texas Steaks. Is that right?
Yeah, before you start, Todd B asked if I am an investor in property, the coin. No, I am not, but I'm a follower of the project. I think it's a fantastic thing, and I'd love to see more real world commerce end up on the blockchain and disintermediate as many rent takers as possible.
Yep, makes sense. Okay.
All right. The spotlight effect. Spotlight effect. I suffer from this.
We all do. God, this is a good one. It shouldn't be 18. I don't know why I ordered these. When I first was writing this paper, I just said, I'm going to go by the order of the ones that seem to affect me the most. And who taught me this? It's not like he taught me this personally, but it was when I was listening to Charlie Munger. And I was just listening to him for weeks and weeks and weeks. I listened to all of his speeches, and he talks about cognitive bias a lot. So that was kind of the impetus for this. Anyway, so the spotlight effect is the tendency to overestimate the amount in which other people notice your appearance or behavior. It's like feeling that a spotlight is on you at all times, right? So example, in an experiment, several students wore bright yellow t-shirts into a large psychology class. At the end of the class, they were asked to estimate how many people in the class they thought had noticed them. And they had greatly overestimated those numbers. Mostly people are in their own bubble, as it turns out, and don't give a crap what color shirt you're wearing. But we tend to believe that spotlight is on us all the time. And so this can start to bias your behavior because it can influence the decisions you make, things like that. So this is a more generalized bias than most of us have, It influences our thinking and relates not only to our self-image, but also our perceptions of how watched or noticed we actually are. If you're buying, Bitcoin Lambos and Mercedes AMGs, you're probably going to get more attention than you like, especially from the IRS. But for the most part, we overestimate the degree to which other people notice us, which, if you unpack that, we probably overestimate our importance. I know this sounds kind of bad, but we are not all that interesting. We're not all that unique. Humans over a chart look pretty much the same. We have very similar behaviors. On the aggregate, we behave, very predictably. And so we are not, we are not unique snowflakes. Anyway, imagine you have a tiny coffee stain on your shirt. It's 1 nanometer wide, which is very small, by the way. But if you feel like you're walking around with a large sign that says "gross, disgusting pig" hung around your neck, you get marginally more nervous or insecure. That change in mindset can start to affect how you make decisions that day. Our mindset in trading, research, investment scenarios needs to be analytical and calm, and I would add without emotion. We need to study and weigh bits of information and then make decisions based on the entirety of the data to the best of our ability. To do that, we can't be caught up in the coffee stain or the wrong choice or the tie we wore, or the fact that we're having a yellow shirt, we missed the spot shaving. All of that information is useless information. It's on the sideline. It's not relevant, and you have to be able to just get rid of all that stuff. I try to take a few minutes to calm myself down before doing any research, making any trades. For me, one thing is important. If I'm doing research, a quiet environment. Just go somewhere quiet, flip the computer on, or even if you're doing research on your phone, go somewhere where you don't have a lot of inputs, right? A lot of stuff flashing and a lot of noise. Just go somewhere quiet. That seems to help a lot. And this is a big one too. Make sure that you are calm and collected when moving digital currency in any direction, from an exchange to a wallet, from a hardware wallet. You want to definitely get that right. Don't fat thumb something. Don't rush it. Nothing needs to happen so quick that you're willing to risk your currency units. Take your time, chill, right? Whether it's on or off an exchange, between exchanges, private wallets, whatever, OTC, doesn't matter. And I would just add, use the first three, last three rule. And I hope you guys are doing this when you're copying and pasting for crypto transactions, especially if you're sending to somebody else. Like I'm sending Antonio some rando coin or whatever. So you check and recheck the first three letters or numbers and the last three letters or numbers of a crypto address to make sure that where you intend to send your crypto is where it is actually going. Because, some of the exchanges are pretty good about this, where they'll say, that's not a good address. But when you're sending wallet to wallet, that function doesn't usually exist. So there's really no check and balance. So you want to be just super kind of careful. Okay. So first three, last three. And the way that would work is Antonio would maybe text me or send me his address. I would put it, let's say I'm sending him rando coin, and I put the transaction together. I say, okay, first three, and he'll read me the first three. I say, okay, last three. He'll read me the last three. And that way I know what he sent me, because he could fat thumb it or not select enough of the address and send it to me a letter short, or I could not enter it all the way. Maybe I'm going from my phone to a this, to a that, whatever. So this, once you have the address put in, whether it's a send or receive, whatever, do the first three, last three, just make it a habit, and it will protect you from doing something silly. And then, I would guess as another, and this isn't really about the spotlight effect. This is just about basic common sense. When you're moving some assets, they require a memo. Don't ignore that. If it requires a memo and you don't put it a memo, it's going into a big giant bulk account. And if it goes into a bulk account, they can't reduce what's yours from what's anyone else's. You need the memo. Send the memo. Okay, cool. So yes, and that's not related to cognitive bias. That's just don't get poor by sending money into hyperspace. All right, so spotlight effect. Once again, the tendency to overestimate the amount in which other people notice your appearance or behavior. Okay. Whew, we got through a lot of stuff today. Jerry, final thoughts. What's going on in your world? I know we have the show tomorrow, but what else is going on, and what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts is I'm weighing in my personal life the desire to be wealthy, therefore defer gratification, right? Defer gratification with, I've been here a long time. I've been living poor for a long time, and I want some property and I want to build a house. So I'm jostling the pros and cons and do I deploy a quality of life that I really want because you only get one life, or do I just continue to eat top ramen until my portfolio hits the number that my math told me it needed me to hit to do all the things that I want to do?
Fair play. Antonio, final thoughts.
If anybody's still in the crypto field, daily cost average. If you're new to the field and you don't know what that is, take a 90-day bank statement, find things that you brought that you didn't need, things that you brought that you didn't want, whatever that figure is, that's what if you're willing to risk it and lose it, that's what your daily cost average you can go into. And if you're passionate about a project at $12 and it goes down to $6, or if Bitcoin is passionate at 20,000, it goes to 40,000, it goes back down to 25, weather the storm, because this is not a straight parabolic ride. It's going to ebb and flow and take your emotions out of there, because the same passion you got in is the same way you can get wrecked on.
Well, the advice I have is don't do anything my poor, insolvent, drunk, strung out on meth, crack fiend, smoking water, looks like a sugar cookie for angel dust all over her face, was using a Ouija board last night, grandmother wouldn't do, and that doesn't leave all that much.
Hey, this is the Profit with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the Profit. Hey, hey. We talking condos and nice clothes and driving Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. We tried to drive on them high roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to Profit to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need to cop it, I wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option, let's get it popping. We chilling in the drop. I need some crypto, put it in my pocket. By any means I rock. This is the Profit with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain, we here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks, this where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the Profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the Profit.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.